Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and I want to come on and do a video, religious in nature. And I happened to come across an interesting article in Biblical Archaeology Review magazine, the last issue, and it was on cult prostitution in Israel. It was a really good article, and it was around the idea of a mistranslation of a few Hebrew words in the text that would lead people to believe that temple prostitution existed. And that's what I like about biblical scholarship. Some people come on. There's some great books out there. The Hebrew Goddess and Did God Have a Wife? And certain books like that were great reads. I loved it. But also the other side comes on and gives some really good evidence for the opposite. And when I go through this, you can probably kind of see why biblical writers, when they're translating, especially if they were Greek, would think that Judaism had temple prostitutes. Because a lot of times in the belief system, especially in Greeks, if you ever read anything on Greek religion, the practice was done. And also in the ancient Near East, there was temples with rooms where they would go in and make libations to the deity and possibly have sexual union. So here it's around the word kedeshah, a mistranslation. The title of the article was Cult Prostitution in Ancient Israel, ? And basically the main idea of the article is, contrary to the claims of 20th century scholarship, Hebrew Bible never refers directly to cult prostitutes. Many modern Bible translations are simply misleading in this respect. Much of the confusion results from a misunderstanding of a few biblical texts that mention kedeshot, the plural of kedeshah, related to Kadesh, holy place. Originally, kedeshah referred to consecrated maiden, but biblical authors used it in the sense of harlot. So I think the New Jewish Publication Society Bible does that. I went back and looked. And basically where they're getting this from, if you want to look up where Kedeshah, an example in the Bible, they have here Genesis 38 with Tamar and Judah, which is a pretty interesting read, that whole thing. And when Judah's friend returned to redeem the pledge, he's looking for the Kedeshah, or the prostitute, and the townspeople say, there isn't one here, which is interesting. And also they get into the walls of Jericho and things like that, the innkeeper. So basically what they have also is the idea of Asherah, and how Asherah in the Bible means a grove, because you build an Asherah. So they get into that a little bit. So here they use Deuteronomy 23:19. You shall not bring the fee of a whore, zonah, Z-O-N-A-H in English, or the pay of a dog into the house of the Lord your God in fulfillment of any vow, for both are abhorrent to the Lord your God. Dog here is generally agreed to refer to a male prostitute, but not necessarily a cult prostitute. This verse, like all the other prohibitions in this chapter, Deuteronomy 23, is in the second person, you shall not. The exception is Deuteronomy 23:18. This verse is in the third person. The difference alerts us to the fact that this verse was added by maybe a redactor, a later biblical editor. He saw that in verse 19, the proceeds of the prostitution were not to be brought into the temple, even in fulfillment of a vow. He extended the prohibition, however, to include general prohibition, Deuteronomy 23:18 against Israel prostitution, either in a sense or as participation in illegal cult practices. No Israelite shall be a prostitute, a prohibition expressed in the third person. There should be no prostitute, kedeshah, among the daughters of Israel. There should be no kedesh among the sons of Israel. The word kedeshah here is synonym for zona, which is used in the prohibition in verse 19. This is the same situation we have seen in the story of Judah and Tamar. However, the Septuagint translators in Alexander, who translated the text into Greek, understood Kadesh and Kadeshah of this passage in the Hellenistic sense of initiates who participated in heathen esoteric mystery rites. In fact, the word Kadeshim might have this meaning in a Punic inscription dated to the 1st century BCE. Punic, Neo-Punic inscription from the 1st century BCE. So that's interesting too. So we know that male children were given up to the temple, and also in Greek, female, because we have evidence of that, and like they say here, but also in the play Euripides' Iphigenia, when Agamemnon in the Iliad wants to get the winds to blow to Troy, to sail to Troy, he is told to sacrifice his daughter Iphigenia, and there are some stories where just as she's about to be cut, she's whisked away to the temple of Artemis, where she serves as a temple priestess, and you can check that play out. It's awesome. So there are some stuff with that. Now, there are references to the women of the temple, and what they're saying here, and sacred robes existed all over. So if you're in a Hellenistic mindset, you'll see it that way. So it's interesting how the views of the translators influence what the text says. And in Hebrew, there's a whole bunch of different words that can mean the same thing, and different words used in place of things, and with just a vowel change, it can become a whole nother meaning. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. So a lot of times people, I guess, would like to accuse Judaism of that, and try to look for evidence of that, without taking the... I've done it myself, and that's what I mean by being really good ideas on both sides, because here, you have scholars on one side saying this is the evidence that we have. They wrote a ton of books on it, and now these authors come out. This article was written by let me see here, Edward Lipinski. Comes out and gives very good evidence for the contrary, which is really awesome. So I think what I want to do is find that sidebar, maybe go over some of the translations that have it incorrect, if I can get it here at the end. Sorry about this. They also talk about temple complexes with the rooms that I mentioned before. A slave found with a shackle on her neck from the Roman era. I was trying to find out where they listed. Here it is. Kedeshah is a mistranslation, cult prostitute or temple prostitute in many English translations of the Bible, as in the quotations below from the NJPS translation. I think the English version does it too. They had a list of Bibles that were mistranslated. I'm going to have to study this more. I'm going to have to look it up in the KJV. If I had my computer hooked up, I'd be doing that. But so anyways, check that out. It's pretty interesting, and let me know what you think. Alright, take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.